Evening, fellow Toastmasters. How's your self-esteem tonight? Is it high?
Yeah.
Why? Do you know why? Well, let me tell you. 30 years ago, the California legislature established the Self-Esteem Task Force. The task force had 4 years to prepare their report. The legislation stated, self-esteem was the key to problems such as violence, crime, alcohol and drug abuse, welfare dependence, teenage pregnancy, academic failure, recidivism, child and spousal abuse, and failure of responsible citizenship. Making California a state of esteem would solve all these problems. Assemblyman John Vasconcellos was the sponsor of the self-esteem legislation. He was a strong advocate for the human potential movement. In 1970, Vasconcellos started practicing bioenergetics. He publicly utilized a full array of therapies, including psychosynthesis and Gestalt therapy. He was a devotee of the teachings out of Esalen, the Big Sur center of New Age consciousness. In his 1990 letter, Vasconcellos described self-esteem as the social vaccine against dysfunction, the key to community, recognizing our multicultural democracy. Self-esteem, he said, was the best budget balancer by far, serving both to increase productivity and to reduce human needs for public support. Some observers thought the task force was the latest California utopian nonsense. But 40 of California's 58 counties established their own self-esteem task forces. Contra Costa did not, but they argued about it for a long time. The 25-member task force had 4 years, and they could not agree on their final report. One member, he was a neuroscience researcher, probably the only expert in the group, denied that self-esteem could be given to anyone. He told the LA Times the final report was propaganda and its recommendations simplistic. It could have been written by 6th graders. Self-esteem was never shown to play a role in the 6 social problems the task force studied. It was a massive effort to mislead people. The final report was called Towards a State of Esteem. It became California's best-selling state document ever. Sold 60,000 copies. The report's 161 pages long. You can download it at the link given in your handout. That's the only reason I gave you that handout. I've downloaded 25 pages, and anybody wants to see it, see me afterwards. There was no sequel documenting how self-esteem solved the various problems the promoters said it would. 25 years later, there's no evidence the Self-Esteem Task Force solved any problem. The program did have impact, especially in education, where it became the dominant theory. The timing was horrible. At the same time as a nationwide movement to revive schools academically, but not in California. Instead, in California, you must avoid all criticism and anything that could end in failure to keep children feeling good about themselves. California then started promoting students in 6th grade, even if they had not mastered the material, lest they not feel good about themselves. The required social promotion was discontinued in 1998. Other requirements for the schools. Students do community service. This is the beginning of mandatory, voluntary is the contradiction in terms. Provide cooperative learning opportunities, so it was non-competitive, they could work in groups. Reduce class size. That ended, there's no data that showed it helped any, but the teachers' unions all liked it. And to educate every educator in self-esteem, instruction, and responsibility. They're still trying to do that. More than half of incoming freshmen today at some Cal State campuses still need remedial math and English. So the self-esteem legacy endures in California, even though the task force has been long forgotten. All in all, there's nothing but hype. John Vasconcellos was termed out of the Assembly in 1996. He then went to the Senate, was termed out there in 2004. After 38 years in the legislature total. He died last year. Vasconcellos wanted to leave a legacy in California. I believe he did. California public schools still attempt self-esteem training, and California students are still suffering from it. Madam President.